episode of NAPO's podcast, Standout. I'm your host, Claire Kumar, Productivity Catalyst, and today is going to be really interesting. We're going to explore an organization that's very, in my opinion, complementary to NAPO. It's called NABPO. It's the National Association of Black Professional Organizers. And, when I first heard about it, I thought, this is interesting. What's this all about? And I was instantly curious to understand more about it. Well, I'm going to be having with me today Carolyn Rogers, who's one of the six founders of NABPO, along with Naima Ford Goldson, Carolyn, of course, Tiffany Blassingame, Zamer Hill, Naomi Kialo, and Dina Smith. So these 6 women from Atlanta banded together and formed NABPO, an organization. And I want to hear from Carolyn. I'll introduce Carolyn in just a second, but I want to hear from Carolyn. Why did we need this? What was missing that NABPO had to form? What wonderful gaps is it taking care of? What is it doing to connect with community? There's so much to explore here. And first of all, though, I think it's important, right on the website, it talks about NABPO being open. Let's say, what does it say exactly? It's talking about being an organization for organizers of any background to find community here. Of course, it's NABPO, so it's the National Association of Black Professional Organizers, but you will find a mixed group here. And in one of the taglines, raising awareness about the benefits of living an organized life to the community we serve, which is such an important point. So let me now tell you a little bit about why Carolyn Rogers is here, clearly a founding member of NABPO. She's a professional organizer, and she's been an organizer for 6 years. But interestingly, she's also still an electrical and software engineer, writing code and bringing that mindset to her job. She loves brain games and puzzles, and she likens organizing to solving a big puzzle. I'm wondering if she's a Wordle fan, but maybe we'll get to that. Her first client was her brother since she was 12 years old, and she still organizes him even now, which is pretty cool. So I want to give you a warm welcome, Carolyn Rogers, to Standout.
Hi. Glad to be here. Very glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I was, like I said in the intro, I was so immediately curious. And then I started investigating it a little bit. And I thought, you know what, we need to understand, and we need to embrace, and we need to really, be really aware of what you're doing and why it came about. So I'm wondering if we could kick off with the question of what inspired the formation of the National Association of Black Professional Organizers?
Actually, I think we actually spawned, I don't know if that's a great word to use, but we actually spawned out of a collaboration that the 6 of us started called Ebony and Orderly. So
let's start there. Yes. Yeah, let's start with that. Okay.
So I believe it was Naima. We were all in one of the Facebook organizing groups, and she just sent a shout out. I was like, hey, I'm in Atlanta. If anybody wants to get together and talk and chat, have brunch or something together. So we all showed up for brunch and just had a good conversation and chatting. Yeah. And then later on, she said, well, let's see if maybe there's, maybe there's some collaborating work that we can do together. So from that, we decided to do a few organizing conferences.
Just let's just throw off a conference.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And basically trying to, not just find clients, but also to make it more, make people in our community more aware that organizing is a thing. And that, because I think that people have become more and more comfortable with having cleaners, but not necessarily that there's a difference between cleaning and organizing. So It's just basically something else to show people that, there are other services that you can use to help simplify your life.
Yeah. And when you say, Carolyn, when you say our community, how do you define, what do you mean by when you say our community? Geographically, demographically, how do you describe your community?
All of the above. I think of it as anybody who I touch. anybody who I can reach. Oftentimes we tend to reach people that look like us for. And so that's just the most common thing. But honestly, I talk about organizing anybody that'll listen.
I feel you, sister.
Anyone that'll listen.
Yeah. But so this is Atlanta based. The six of you come together. You have brunch. You start throwing conferences. Who's coming to your conferences?
Well, it was funny. The first few conferences, we were like either former clients, people that we were targeting people that needed to get organized. But interestingly enough, the last conference that we held, I believe that right at the big before COVID landed. I would say it landed.
Yeah, before times and the before times.
Yeah, we actually attracted a lot of other organizers as well, which was interesting. But basically trying to make the knowledge that professional organizing exists. And occasionally we had a few people that came to our clients that were interested in starting their own businesses as organizers, but we were more focused on clients at that time, as in, well, I don't want to say clients, more focused on having people see the benefits of getting organized.
So getting over the hurdle that this isn't for me. This isn't something that I'm entitled to hire for, or it's just not in my normal thinking. It makes me think of my mom. And when my son was first born, I mean, he was days or weeks old, and she was staying with me in Montreal. And in Montreal, I lived on the side of a hill, and it was a mean hill. It was a serious workout. I lost all my baby weight walking up that hill. And I remember my mom had a hair appointment in the afternoon. She's like, "Oh, could you drop me down the hill at the hair salon?" But my son is sleeping. And out of the realm of her list of services that she could pay for was a taxi. And, right? It was just not something we had ever used.
Right.
And so she was like, she didn't think of a taxi. And it made me think of that. Is it just something that in the community, the people that you were touching, that it was just not thought of as something like, oh yeah, I get to do this.
Yeah. And that is definitely true. And for myself, even, I would say that before, I didn't know that professional organizing was a thing until someone mentioned it. I was like, and she says, "Oh, you should do that." I'm like, "What do you mean?"
I was told too. I first got into organizing somebody in my baby group. This was a couple of years later when my daughter was born. She did a learn how to be an organizer course in Montreal. And she came to the baby group. She probably saw my baby bag. And she said, "I think this is for you. I'm not going to do this thing, but I think this is yours."
Right.
And that's 2005. And that's how that started. So
exactly.
Yeah. So you came across it. It was even out of the realm of your thinking. So there's a learning journey out there. And I mean, Canada was easily 10 years behind the US. Really? And I think what we're hearing here is there's still demographic pockets for different reasons that might not be where generally, I mean, if we've seen Marie Kondo on Netflix, maybe we have an idea now, right? But
right. Exactly. I think that the shows, Marie Kondo, Home Edit, all those things, they have definitely brought far more awareness to the profession than anybody ever knew. That is
back in my day, it was Peter Walsh and it was Helen Buttigieg in Canada doing Neat Freak. This is way back. And now it's Hot Mess House. And there's a continuing conversation that are bringing more people to it. So you're playing a role in educating and inviting, it sounds like.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so that was Ebony and Orderly. So tell me, how many conferences did you organize? What did you do?
I believe we've done, my old brain doesn't keep track all the time. I think we've done 3 or maybe 4 so far.
Yeah.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
I think that COVID definitely slowed us down a bit in the sense of everybody's been extra busy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like my organizing blew up like 4 times as much. You know, of course I have a limited amount of time since I'm a part-timer, but it's blown up quite a bit. in this
Yeah,
time
I'm
period.
getting that sense here in Toronto right now too. I've been trying to source a couple of people to help out former clients,
Right.
and everyone's like, "I'm busy, y'all. I'm busy. I got a lot going on. I can't fit anybody new in."
Right. Since everyone's been home and they can't escape from their mess. So now
Well,
it's like I have to do
that's
something about it.
oh my gosh, that's a whole other conversation. But yeah,
Right.
absolutely bang on, right? It's like now people get it why we need help in this area. If
Right.
you have to live with it all the time, it's a thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's coming back to Ebony and Orderly then. You got together, you've organized 3, 4 conferences. What else have you done with that construct of the 6 of you coming together? And then we'll talk about NAPA later, but I forgot, sorry, my bad.
We're
Ebony and Orderly was what really hooked me in, but I did find you through NAPO first and then come back to discover Ebony and Orderly. Yeah.
So what we've kind of morphed into at the moment, since everyone's been so busy, because conferences take a bit to plan,
A
with
little bit
marketing
of
and
work.
everything and whatnot, a little bit of work.
Yeah.
But well, that all works so well together. We enjoy each other's company. We enjoy each other's drive, and so what we've kind of morphed into at the moment. We'll do conferences again, and we'll do take on speaking engagements and things like that again.
Mhm.
But since everyone's been so busy, different life changes, like Naomi, she had 2 kids in this time period. So
Well, that's efficient.
right.
Yeah. Yay, Naomi.
Right. And Zaymir has a few other projects and whatnot. So not just Zaymir, everybody's got lots of projects. So
And
what
Naima, I know, has got a lot going on because
Right.
we've spoken. I've had Tiffany on the show as well. And a school, there's just, a
Right.
few projects, not little projects.
Few small projects.
Just
here
small
and there.
projects. Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody's, one thing I loved about our collaboration is that everyone respected that we were each individual. We worked together, but we're still each individual and still supported each other through that.
Yes.
I love what what everyone else is doing. I love it that they're basically making their dreams happen, right?
Yeah.
So what we focused on in the last year or so is kind of being more supportive of each other's projects, being supportive of and reminding each other to sit down. We had a retreat. It hasn't been a year yet. It hasn't been quite a year yet. We did a retreat. We were going to plan some things.
Yeah.
And what we found was that we were all just really busy and really tired.
This around the period of languishing by any chance?
Languishing.
This was April 2021 when languishing.
No.
No.
Languishing. No, it was later.
It was later. Okay.
It was busy. What we realized is that we were planning to, make all these plans to rule the world. And once we got together, we were like, let's sit and talk.
Right.
Let's rest together. Let's all of that. So and that was important. And I think that that's been I like it that we're able to shift and still remain connected to each other in that way. And
there's a moment right now. I mean, we're spring 2022 when we're recording this, or almost spring 2022. And there's a coming back together, a coming out again as we're moving, all the fingers past Omicron and so on. And we need this landing. We need this landing and reconnection as humans and navigating how to be together again. And there's a lot going on there. So I really get what you're saying in terms of being there for each other as humans first.
Right. Exactly. And it was something that we slowly realized that we needed. And I think that was great. I think we should do this all the time. At least once a year, we should do this.
Yeah, so I love that. Just planting a seed for listeners out there that this community of peers who understand what you're about, and it doesn't have to be a task focus that you're coming together, but supporting each other as business owners, as people, as humans with common values. There's a lot to being understood by some fellow humans. My next call is actually a mastermind group. And we talk task, but we're also there for the human element too. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
So I can honestly say that it's been that connection that has helped me to continue to move forward in organizing.
Hmm.
Like I always tell people, like for the longest time, I've always been like the master of I'm gonna have a side gig or something else, a second thing going, and it will
Hmm.
last for a while, and that's it. But I think that
6 years,
organizing
6 years, a pretty good streak.
6 years is a great streak, and it's lasted the longest. I'm the most passionate about it. It's
Hmm.
once I get tired of engineering, I'll continue. It's real to me, more real to me than anything else has ever been. And I
Yeah.
think that being connected to other people that encourage it, that help, provide ideas, things like
Hmm.
that is something that has helped me, um, not just so much stay with it, but help me see different aspects of it that I probably wouldn't have seen before.
It's
And
expansive,
it's
expanding a little
expansive.
bit. Yeah.
And that's kind of what led us to start NAPCO. So we wanted, like, okay, this is great. Other organizers like us would would benefit from this.
Right.
Um, but selfishly, we wanted Ebony and Orderly to still just be us.
I
we
feel
still
you.
wanted to
So,
keep we
yeah.
still wanted to keep the small group as Ebony and Orderly. So
Yeah. I feel the same thing. I have a book club of 8 women. We
Mhm,
have not the biggest living rooms in the world. So we were like, and people wanted to join us all the time. This has been going 13, 14 years now.
mhm.
And I thought, you know what? No, we're the core 8. We got something good. And
Right.
so I said, well, why don't we just have like pub nights, or we can have places outside where we invite other people to come. That has grown into 2 websites now, about 3,000
Wow.
people. It tried to almost became a company like next door, like the
Oh,
neighborhood
wow.
thing. That's
Hmm.
kind of where it was going.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it came from I want to hang on to my book club. Shout out to my book club girls if you're listening.
Right.
But hold on to that. But realizing that, community and connection on common interests, and also sometimes geography is really
Yeah.
powerful, because we really need to actually get together. And I don't know, in person again, it's going to be, a local focus is really kind of important too.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very
Yeah.
true. Um, I was trying to think. I was going to say something, but of course I forgot.
Oh, not to worry. It's there. It's there. It's going to come back. So
It's there. It's coming back.
Ebony and Orly, and then into NABPO and this creation, realizing that you had this good thing and other people would benefit. So how did NABPO come about then?
So it came about. We basically decided to. It's like, okay, we want to attract a broader range of people, be
Mhm.
able to have a type of support. I feel like there's a certain type of uh, energy that we get from people that have such probably common background, common experiences.
Mhm.
I can't say common viewpoints because everybody's still individual and different,
Uh-huh.
but common background, common experiences, and whatnot. And NAPO is great and wonderful. I've been a NAPO member. I think I joined NAPO probably a couple months after I decided I was going to be an organizer.
Uh-huh.
Um, but it is a large organization, and it is
Yeah.
easy to, I want to say, get lost in it, um, especially if you're a person of color, uh, or I'm a person of color, someone that's different from the large majority of the group.
Mhm.
Um, because one thing, as we've looked more into, like NAPO has started exploring more diversity programs and things like that. And I think one of the
Yeah.
things that came out of that is not just that there's not a lot of African Americans in NAPO. There's not a lot of anyone else. So
Yeah.
and it's not on purpose. I always tell people, even before we started NAPO, I was like, organizers are the friendliest group of people I've ever met. Like they're very, very friendly, very not extremely competitive. At least that's not what. At least the Georgia chapter. I have the Georgia chapter to rely on it.
Mhm.
Not competitive. Give
Mhm.
referrals and things like that all the time.
Mhm.
But even with that, it's still very common and easy for I want to say people of color to fall by the wayside or fall through the cracks. It's still a historically, I'm going to say historically, it's difficult to be the only person in the room, or it's difficult to be one of the few in the room.
100%, girl. 100%.
And I had a coworker once tell me, we moved into a new building, and there were a couple of guys in there that were from a different area or whatever, and they came over to say hi to me. Hey, I'm so and so, and we're in this other area. And so she says, Carolyn's got some fans, like someone's flirting. And that wasn't it at all. It's like, so, and just trying to really put my finger on it and explain to her, I was like, well, it's a matter of, we have in school, in work and everything, we subconsciously find other people that look like us, especially if we're not that common. And and I think it's something that most of us automatically do without even thinking about it. And I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of historical background behind it, but I think it's something that we naturally do.
I agree with you. So I'm mixed. My parents were, early in the mixing of things. Actually, so my dad's from India, mom's from England. So I'm like 5/8 Indian actually, because my mom is 1/4. Because if you look back in her background, her father actually came from parents who were one was Welsh and the other one was a tradesman from Lahore, which was British India back in the day. So in 1903, he was half and half like me. And he was like, that is not cool. He couldn't find himself. And, he ended up changing his name from Yusuf Rahmatullah to Hugh Randall, because he's like, I'm not having none of that.
Wow.
Right. So it's interesting to look at. And when now my kids throw some Japanese into the mix. So when they look like I adopted them, it's really not fair. I've got scars. I'm like, this is really not fair. But when I moved from Montreal to Toronto and I was looking for schools for them, I was looking for a school where they could find themselves. Like, show me another Asian face, please. Right. And I saw one Asian face in one school, and I thought, this is not going to feel like home. This is not. So they went into French immersion, which drew from a much bigger geography. And there were a couple more Asian kids. I'm like, that's good. You just need, and my kids would say, yeah, we're the Asian persuasion. They had a little group there were Korean and Chinese and Japanese and a few, not many. I think there was only 1 or 2 Black people in the school. Still, their middle school pulled from an area. It was so diverse. It was incredible. I loved it. Yeah. But I remember not seeing myself growing up, and you're absolutely bang on. You just underlining the point that you feel like you belong when you see yourself, and until that happens, so you've created somewhere where you feel innately that belonging. You've created a place for people to feel that belonging.
And honestly, if you look around at different professional organizations, like outside of organizing. Like engineering organizations, there's National Society of Black Engineers. I'm pretty sure there's also Society of Women Engineers.
Well, yeah, engineering right there. Did you see a lot of women in the room in a lot of places? I started my career at Nortel.
Oh, yeah. No, right? Exactly. Very true. Even now, I think there's very few even female engineers where I am. Then there's even less African American.
Right? Like you like hanging with the minority of the minority.
Yeah. So it's everybody. I think that there's a certain energy that we get from other people. There's a certain encouragement, especially when it's a matter of, oftentimes we have like and similar experiences, and finding out how other people handle it, how other people, it's like, how did you for example, I'm pretty sure if I went to a NAPO meeting and I was in distress about like a client wanting to touch my hair or something, I'm pretty sure they would feel, it's like, oh, wow, that's something. But they would feel it different than, say, Naima. There's a different level of understanding of what the root of that issue and how that made me feel.
100%.
A little bit different. So it's and that's important. That's important.
I'm curious. There have been, in particular, so I've been doing the podcast for a couple of years now. The first year, there were specific DEI episodes. We were like, we're going to have some DEI episodes. We're going to talk about some stuff. Second year, I said, you know what? I'm embedding the diversity and inclusion when I'm thinking about what I'm doing. I'm not having specific DEI episodes, but I'm thinking about the conversations that I want to have. And I'm thinking about the people that I want to to bring in. Are you sensing that the focus on inclusivity and diversity, are you feeling there's a shift happening at all?
Yes. And I don't want to say no. There is a shift, definitely. For a while, I jokingly said, we're in style right now. We're in style. We better enjoy this.
Oh, I'm like, well, yeah, heck yeah. I'm like, I'll tick some boxes. Right. I'm like, you want a woman? Yeah, tick it. You want some BIPOC? I'm beige. Does that count? Am I enough?
It
right?
Indeed counts.
I've got an invisible illness. Let's go. I'm neurodivergent. Let's go. Like, I got boxes. If you want to tick boxes, I'm your girl. At the same time, there's such a hire me because I'm good at what I do.
Right, exactly. And there's still also, I've noticed more recently, a certain level of pushback about it, which is, I guess you can say it's understandable. It's, some people are, I'm tired of it. I don't want to talk about it and think about it.
Well, there's a lot of fatigue about a lot of things right now.
Yeah.
And to have to care. I mean, personal mission is wanting to expand inclusivity to include neurodiversity and temperament. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure most people are like, do not make me care about another thing. Like, please don't ask me to give about anything else.
Yeah. And I one thing I do, I think that what you're doing is like, just instead of it to be specific episodes, spread it throughout. Just let it be. Because I think
you have to be conscious.
Yeah. It's like to do it consciously, but not necessarily like kind of trick them into.
You didn't know you were being diversified right now. You had no idea. Yeah.
There it is. Because ultimately, even if it's a good cause, even if it's a good conversation, people don't necessarily want to be beat over the head with it, especially if they're getting it in every location, everything.
Yeah, I think this is the evolution. It becomes part of what we're doing. I know I look at a roster of speakers now. I'm like, where's the women? Where's the color? Where's the disability? What are we showing here? I remember as a kid growing up, I loved the Benetton ads. Benetton, right? Benetton was the only place where I was like, oh, they got somebody brown. They got somebody Chinese. They had inclusivity around color, at least. United in colors, colors or something, right?
Benetton. Yep,
right?
United Colors of Benetton. Yep.
Right?
I remember that.
That was so distinguishing that they were the only brand doing it back in the 80s, 90s.
Right. And I like it when it's a large bit of diversity. Like oftentimes, like if you see a TV show, there'll be one person that represents something. It's like we always talk about, you got the token black guy, you got this and that. Blah, blah. I like it that when it's not just black and white. It's not just one and another. Pairings and whatnot. Diversity is everything. It's everyone.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I think this is the first year I saw a mixed race couple in advertising.
I see that a lot.
Yeah.
Now. I see it a lot now.
Right?
No, one thing that I noticed is how they mix them. Like for a long time, it was always black males, either white or Asian females. Mm-hmm. They're starting to show black females with other more too. And which was interesting because for a while, I was like, people mix in more ways than just this and that.
Right.
Or even there's also Latinos and Asian mix. Everybody mixes. So yeah, I'm in more recent years, I've seen that more. And I'm glad to see it.
Me too. So I hope I'm curious, if we have listeners out there that are thinking about this, pipe up in social media. Let us know. What are you noticing? What are you seeing in your community? What are you noticing in media? What are you noticing in NAPO in terms of our commitment? This has been my personal way of making sure in my own way that it's what we talk about is more inclusive. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? And it's a really important conversation to keep going. Just coming back to NAPO then, could you talk about, and Ebony and Orderly, some of the benefits that have come out for clients or for the people that you're touching through this? What kind of benefits have come out of what you've created here for the communities that we serve?
Well, one thing that I found that's interesting is that once we started to grow because for a long time, NAPCO was 10 members. It was just 6 of us and then 4 others that kind of
Right.
stragglers that hung on with us and whatnot. It was usually about 10 people. And
Mhm.
then in 2020, it just like, it seemed like we were getting like 10 members every week or something like that. We were, people were
Wow.
joining. So it grew rapidly.
Mhm.
And the one of the things that I thought was the most beneficial was having the connection, having the resources in the sense of speaking to each other, even though we're spread all over the country,
Mhm.
um, for the organizers, for their benefit, as in connecting to other organizers. And we have several that are NAPO members, but there are often other organizers that are not NAPO members,
Mhm.
because they didn't necessarily connect. If they tried to, attend NAPO meetings or something like that, they didn't
Mhm.
necessarily find that connection there,
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Some of that's personality, some of that's like
All kind, yeah.
I'm an introvert. I'm okay with going someplace and no one talks to me. That's perfectly fine. That's probably
Yeah.
heaven for me,
Well, the
actually.
online opportunity has really helped
And
introverts for sure.
exactly. Oh my gosh, it's wonderful. We've been training all our lives for this. Um, so, and then the other thing that was a benefit is that you combine that with, in general, people, the world becoming more aware that organizers exist, that they can
Mhm.
hire organizers, find organizers,
Mhm.
people oftentimes being forced into a position where they need to get more organized. And
Yes.
we often, considering how personal organizing is, I always tell people, I said, organizing is very personal.
It's the most intimate work, man.
I'm going to
Yeah.
be in all of your stuff.
I'm in your junk. Yeah.
I'm pulling everything out. I'm looking
Yeah.
at everything. If there's something you don't want me to see, let's put it someplace else,
Oh,
things like
yes.
that. Cause I'm going to find it. I
Yes.
find everything, money, old pictures, all kinds of things. So
Yes.
organizing is very personal. So you want to have someone that you're very comfortable with.
Yeah.
And oftentimes the people that we naturally gravitate to are people that look like us. So what's been happening
Mhm.
is that people, since more people of color have been thinking, I need to get an organizer, they've been
Right.
looking for organizers that look like them.
Yeah.
So we, in addition to finding each other and being able to create like a support network for each other,
Mhm.
we've also created like a singular place, if you want to say that, where people that are looking for us specifically can find us.
I love
So,
it.
and that's
Yeah.
that's probably one of the. I always tell people, it's like, if nothing else, set up your profile.
Yeah.
people are actually looking for you, and they're finding you on this website. So set up your profile.
Yeah. Great invitation. Carolyn, what a rich conversation. I knew it would be interesting to explore that, such an organic evolution, right?
Yeah, and
And with a focus of service. I mean, only good can come from that. So,
right.
yeah. Thanks so
And
much for joining me.
one thing that I want to point out also is that we also recognize that NAPCO didn't start out of a desire to be completely separate from others.
Mhm.
um, so we have a component called the Allies. We have an
Mhm.
allies group so that
Mhm.
organizers that do not identify as BIPOC can join and still, we have a few joint meetings together and
Mhm.
talk about diversity, and its access. I think that one of the most important things about understanding diversity is access and
Mhm.
actually getting to know people on a real level.
Yeah. So you're all welcome to
Yeah.
explore. NAPCO is the thing. And it's interesting. So I'm beige. So I'd be like, is this for me? I don't know. And like, if I saw BIPOC there, I'd be like, okay, that's for me.
Mm-hmm.
But now I see that it is for me as well, but the language matters, it's
Yeah.
very interesting to try and shape something and
Yeah.
get all the
And
messages out.
trying to reshape it from where we started. Because, first NAPCO is like,
Yeah.
we're all African American. Let's make it. So, but we actually want to have everyone create a space
Yeah.
for all people of color, and yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the focus on allies because, in the Black Lives Matter moment, there was a lot of talk like, don't ask your Black friends to educate you, right? But here's an invitation to be part of a group to understand and to learn. And this is an opportunity where you can further your learning and understanding and, in conversation, ask questions. And this is a group of people who are saying, I'm signing up for this. So,
right. And hopefully meet someone locally that you can actually, hey, let's have lunch. Let's collaborate.
Collaborate. Exactly.
Let's
collaborate because good things come when you collaborate.
Right.
That is for sure.
Exactly.
Carolyn, what a joy speaking with you. Thanks so much for joining me in conversation to bring awareness to Ebony and Orderly and the coming together of 6 Atlanta-based organizers and the evolution into NABPO, which is there for everyone who's interested in being an ally or putting your own profile up so that people looking for someone who looks like you can find you.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it was a great pleasure. So for all our listeners out there, I hope that you gain some insights into how coming together can really do some wonderful things, not only for the community that you're trying to serve, but for each other as well. Definitely, as always, continue to be safe, be kind, and enjoy your journey. Okay, Carolyn, I heard there's something else we need to talk about. You guys created a book. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What's the book?
Yes. Okay, so our book is called 28 Days of Prioritizing You. And it actually kind of went along the lines of the second conference, I believe, that we did was Prioritizing You. So then we got the idea to do this journal. And it's basically a journal that we put together where each of us picked some of our favorite quotes and showed how they tied to organizing. For example, here's one that says, time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. Jim Rohn. And then there's like a bit of information about, okay, this is how this applies to organizing, and encouraging people to basically write about their organizing journey, because organizing is a journey for a lot of people.
It's not, I need to do this and I'm doing it. There's a lot of mindset shifting, and journaling is so key to the self-awareness piece that gets you moving forward.
Exactly. So it was one of the collaborations that, again, something that's wonderful about a collaboration. Someone thought of it. Mm-hmm. And everyone put their talents forward to figure out what pieces of it would take to make it happen. Mm-hmm. I believe the idea was Zaymare. She's like, we should do a journal, and this is simple, and this is all that we have to do. Everyone write this and that, and here's how it would look. It's like, we can do it. Did some research on how to make it happen, and it's like, okay, we set it on using Amazon. And how do we make that happen? And I worked on the technology aspect of it.
Right.
So, and figuring out. So now I feel like I can do, to some degree, we've all learned how to create a book.
That is amazing. You guys all have some skills, different skills to bring to the table. So in the spirit of collaboration, you can draw on all of those different strengths, right? And the collective learning you're talking about is there too.
Exactly. Everyone brought some level of knowledge and expertise to it.
Yeah. So
and
again,
learn something.
Yeah. So again, the title is 28 Days of Prioritizing You, and you can still get it on Amazon, can you?
You can still get it on Amazon. It is, I believe it's $10.
Amazing. Less than 2 cups of coffee these
less
days.
Than 2 cups
right?
Of coffee.
Maybe less than 1, depending on how you like your coffee.
I was going to say, is it a grande or a venti?
I don't speak Starbucks. I'm like, I don't. Oh, thank you for sharing that. It's just another example of how, strong women organizers in this case came together and created something beautiful and useful and just, helpful.
Helpful. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Carolyn.
Thanks. Thank you.